Britain's political prisoner Lucy Connolly, locked up for 31 months for a singular X post later deleted on the day of the triggering Southport massacre.
It suggests that Keir Starmer doesn't have control of Downing Street in the way he should. The Prime Minister has to say, look, I'm in control. You know it's a real mess. You know it's in real trouble.
Now, we're going to break down why Lucy Connolly's shocking imprisonment has shaken the country, and how Andrew Neil is using it to hit Starmer's shaky leadership. A 41-year-old former childminder and wife of a Conservative councillor was given almost 3 years behind bars. Her so-called crime? One furious tweet after the horrific murders of 3 young girls in Southport. She deleted it within hours and apologised. But under Starmer's watch, the authorities didn't flinch. 3 years in real prison for the mother of a 12-year-old over a single post. And voices like Andrew Neil aren't about to sit back and let this slide.
Lucy Connolly, she was sentenced to 31 months in prison for a tweet about setting fire to migrant hotels. It would give public a say in sentencing. If 500 people disagree with the sentence via petition to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, it would be under pressure to refer the decision, the sentence, to a court. There's a good chance she could be released next month, having served 40% of her sentence.
Lucy Connolly, once a humble childminder and mother to a 12-year-old girl, is now serving time in one of HMP Peterborough's harshest wings, surrounded by violent criminals and killers. All because she dared to emotionally voice her opinion in what is supposed to be a democratic first world nation. She and her's punishment has become a potent symbol of people fight for free expression, and a glaring example of just how far Starmer's censorship machine will go. Political truth-tellers like Andrew Neil refuse to stand by in silence, calling out what they see as a dangerous abuse of power and warning that if cases like Connolly's go unchallenged, Britain will slide further into a state where fear replaces freedom and dissent is punished more harshly than real crime.
And that's a big change. That would be a problem for Mr. Starmer, who is much cosier with the traditional European consensus. If he fails, well, I can tell you this, Britain ain't going further left.
Mark the beginning of the end for Starmer and the government. It won't crumble overnight or even in weeks or months, but painful years ahead beckon, in which the danger is things only get worse. Keir Starmer tells us he's fixed the foundations. These are his words, not mine. You and I know that isn't true.
It's become a national flashpoint, a wave of outrage aimed squarely at a political class that feels detached from the realities ordinary people face. And at the heart of it stands Lucy Connolly's case. The way Keir Starmer handles this moment will define not only Labour's stance on free speech and fair justice, but its credibility in a country split between those silenced by intimidation and those still willing to risk everything to speak the truth. Starmer is aware of Lucy Connolly's case, but he avoids addressing it head-on. Instead, he hides behind vague statements about opposing violent rhetoric and insists the court's decision was fair. It's a subject he's clearly uncomfortable with. Connolly has become too prominent in the national conversation about free speech, and her very existence is now a stain on Starmer's reputation.
Is freedom of speech dead in this country?
Let me give you the principles that I would apply. Firstly, I'm strongly in favour of free speech. We've had free speech in this country for a very, very long time, and we protect it fiercely. I'm equally, though, against incitement to violence against other people. That has long been an offence in our country, and rightly so.
Starmer claims to oppose violence, but it seems he draws a line between the kind that serves his politics and the kind that challenges it. How else do you explain Lucy Connolly being moved into a wing for the most dangerous criminals, where she reports being bullied and mistreated? Veteran journalist Andrew Neil has been relentless in his criticism, accusing Starmer of dodging real issues and abandoning the very people he once vowed to represent. Instead of defending ordinary Britons and confronting the growing outrage over censorship and selective justice, he looks the other way, widening the gulf between Labour and the people. It's a far cry from the early days of his leadership, when he promised to restore trust and speak for all of Britain. Back then, Starmer talked about unity, fairness, and understanding working class struggles. Now, his actions tell a different story, one where tightening speech laws takes priority over protecting basic freedoms. His approval of harsher speech restrictions has only deepened fears that rights are being sacrificed for political convenience. Those who dare to speak publicly about illegal migrants and their crimes end up on Starmer's personal hit list. Figures like Nigel Farage get drowned in smear campaigns through friendly media outlets. Grassroots firebrands like Tommy Robinson can be taken out with a conveniently timed incident at a train station. and someone as small as a 41-year-old mother on Twitter, she can be accused in racism and handed 3 years in prison.
Lucy Connolly, the grieving mother, has been attacked behind bars by the prison staff who are meant to be protecting her. They intend to not only continue the persecution of Lucy, but terrify her.
I also talked to her about her experience in prison, and then she then told me about the good bits, the bad bits. I genuinely fear that she is actually being treated as a political prisoner for political purposes. I've spent time with Lucy, I've listened, I've read a lot about it, and people are being released from prison, given rights for a temporary license for serious violent actions, serious theft, and Lucy is a country mile from those categories.
The Starmer government is beginning to resemble something straight out of Orwell's darkest visions. Across government offices, workplaces, and public spaces, people have learned that certain topics are simply off limits. Criticizing crimes committed by members of particular religious groups can cost you your job, your reputation, and even your freedom. Questioning the daily arrival of 400 to 500 people in small boats across the English Channel is treated as an act of racism. These illegal migrants often don't speak English, have no interest in integrating, and openly reject British culture. Entire districts of Birmingham are morphing into closed Pakistani enclaves where locals feel like strangers in their own city. In South London, many young women can't imagine walking the streets after 11 PM without fear. People clutch their phones tightly, knowing that organised biker gangs are always hunting for victims. Machete attacks in major cities are no longer shocking, they're becoming normal. Yet anyone who dares speak these truths aloud is instantly smeared as far right and hounded out of their livelihood. The internet once felt like the last place where people could speak openly. That illusion shattered with Lucy Connolly's arrest and the passing of Starmer's new online policing laws. Now, even a single tweet can land you in a cell with violent offenders. Public commentators are warning that Britain is sliding into its own version of 1984, and at the centre of it all stands Keir Starmer, tightening control while silencing the voices of those he claims to represent.
This is George Orwell. George Orwell perfectly predicted this in 1984.
Ministry of Truth Back, the UK has created an elite police unit known as the National Internet Intelligence Investigations Team. The UK's Prime Minister insists he still believes in free speech.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud about that.
There's story after story about people being thrown behind bars in the UK, even for tweets that they have deleted, with longer prison sentences than people who've committed actual physical violent crimes.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. There's a woman that's in prison for 31 months. She did was have a tweet up for 4 hours that she ended up taking down. Keep in mind, they were already arresting 30 people a day for wrong speech in Britain before this. Now they have a special police task force to constantly monitor social media, including X, formerly Twitter.
The hypocrisy is staggering. Starmer speaks about defending free speech, and the very next day, he signs legislation that crushes it online. He claims to stand against hate, yet his laws are used to silence political opponents and uncomfortable truths. This is the early stage of authoritarian rule, if not its full consolidation, and it all found its first high-profile victim in Lucy Connolly. Her imprisonment sent a chilling message to anyone thinking of challenging the narrative. If they can destroy the life of a mother over a single tweet, they can do it to anyone. That is why her case is more than personal, it's a warning to the entire country.
So the public are angry, the public are frustrated at what's happening in their country. They weaponised the courts. They locked up grandmas, granddads, mothers. These buildings are full of violent criminals. Lucy Connolly's not a violent criminal. Lucy Connolly made a statement. She was angry. She deleted it and apologised. She got 3 years. If you watched my film, you saw Antifa extremists come to my family's home, threaten to murder them. They don't get arrested. They politicised the courts. They politicised the judiciary. That was to scare you, to scare the public into it and to intimidate them into silence. That was the purpose. That was their goal.
Starmer keeps repeating that his so-called online safety laws exist to protect children. Yet at the very same time, his government is funding elite police units that work around the clock to monitor what ordinary citizens post on social media. These units swoop in to block anti-migrant protests before they can even begin, and to silence the voices of anyone brave enough to question Starmer's policy. The truth is, the law does not shield children, it does the exact opposite. As Nigel Farage has explained, almost every teenager today knows how to use a VPN to bypass any state restrictions within minutes. That means the supposed safeguards are meaningless for kids. Worse still, the bans push them directly towards the dark web, a place far more dangerous than anything they might have seen on mainstream platforms. There, they are exposed to criminal networks, financial scams, and even predatory abuse. This isn't prevention, it's an invitation to something much worse. Is this really the protection Starmer promised? Or was that never the intention in the first place? From the start, protecting children may have been nothing more than a convenient slogan to sell a law that's really about controlling speech. And now, with Lucy Connolly's ordeal fresh in the public mind, the country can see the real purpose behind these measures. Her case proves that the state will go to extreme lengths to punish dissent. 3 years in prison for a tweet sends a message that terrifies ordinary people into silence. That fear is exactly what keeps Starmer's machine running, and why Lucy's story has become a rallying cry for those who refuse to be silenced.
Well, if it was to protect children, why on earth would an elite police force be set up to monitor what people say online, the extent to which online material has been censored, including, I was hearing this morning, historical comments about Richard III. This is the beginning of state censorship. It is very worrying and very frightening. Yes, of course, the original intention of the act was honourable and correct in every way, and we would stand behind it. The trouble is, most 13-year-olds are more tech-savvy than the Science Minister, Peter Kyle, because they simply go to VPNs where they can't just access what's on the web, they can even quite easily find themselves in the even deeper and darker recesses of the dark web.
And that's the bigger picture. After dealing with Lucy Connolly, Starmer's government would love nothing more than to shut down every voice that dares to criticize the rise of Islamism, the influx of illegal migrants, and the surge in violent crime. In the real world, they already have the tools to do it. Ordinary people can be accused of racism, fired from their jobs, or even thrown in prison. Now they've reached into the online space as well.
Why already online are we seeing a speech from a member of Parliament being censored? And by the way, why is it 16 and 17-year-olds now cannot connect with some news content directly, but they're going to get the vote?
Starmer will not easily recover from any of this.
All of this has happened in just 1 year of Starmer sitting in Downing Street. If this is the pace now, what will the country look like by the end of his term? How many more Lucy Connollys will there be?